Hi, Lavlish.
Hi,
Welcome
Prakash.
to welcome to Integral Dialogues.
Thank you for having me once more.
Yes, always a pleasure. Uh, I was having a conversation with my colleague at office, and he mentioned he has admitted his child to a CBSE school. I immediately said, "Wow, a mainstream school." Then he gave a pause and then said, "There are other streams." So I think in the larger parlance, there is not much of information or knowing of what are different types of education available there. I thought in this episode, let's cover that and then see to provide for the curious whatever best we can on what are the types of education and some uh, difficult terms that are out there or commonly used words. How can we make it available to the larger audience? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, what is mainstream for a common person? No.
Right. Okay. Well, you rightly mentioned there are so many words that one uses in day to day conversations, and there is no denying the fact that we are living at a time or in an age where we find ourselves in semantic complexity, which means that every word would have a layered and a nuanced meaning to it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's also an age where you have conceptual qualification. So you need a qualifier for a simple noun like artificial,
Mm.
augmented. We've been talking about,
Yes, yes.
and I have personally seen. I mean, I have come across so many words in the last 8 to 9 years that it seems to be a quantum leap in word proliferation. So many words out there.
Mm-hmm.
So we will try to deconstruct the vocabulary that we use so that we understand what the real meaning is. So your first word, if I may say, was mainstream
Yeah,
or is mainstream,
yeah.
right? So you said mainstream education,
Mainstream education, mainstream schools.
right? And then you said how many kinds of education,
Yes,
is that what? Yeah.
yes.
So mainstream, what's the word? Mainstream. Have you? Can you guess what mainstream would mean?
See, from my perspective, a river flows, usually a stream.
Right.
The main trunk of the river is,
Perfectly.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well said. So
Mm,
that's what mainstream is.
mm,
Now, in terms of education,
mm,
it essentially means obviously a mainstream,
mm,
a bigger stream,
mm,
but it essentially means one that becomes popular,
mm,
widely accepted.
mm,
So that is what is to mainstream education.
mm,
So whenever we refer to mainstream education, we are essentially referring to a widely accepted, very popular education board
mm,
or schooling,
mm,
the way schooling and education is done
mm,
or transacted.
mm,
So that is what mainstream schooling is. You can classify major boards under mainstream schooling, CBSE, state boards, ICSE, etc. So this is what is to mainstream schooling.
Perfect, perfect. So, if there is a mainstream,
Hmm.
there must be substreams, there must be alternate streams,
Yeah,
there must be smaller
yeah.
streams.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, are there any like that?
So when you say mainstream, what we often hear is alternate or alternative education, depending on the choice of word.
Mm,
So this essentially again means that there is an alternate to mainstream. So if mainstream does XYZ things, there is an alternate which would perhaps do the same thing,
mm,
but in a more flexible manner.
mm,
See, mainstream schooling, mainstream education is highly governed
mm,
and regulated by a board or a government.
mm,
There is hardly any scope for any experimentation whatsoever.
mm,
The boundaries are defined. I call it templatized education.
mm,
Everything falls under a template.
mm.
your learning, your education becomes a template.
Hmm.
So you're not allowed to go beyond the template.
Now, when we say alternate education, and the reason why I jumped in is
Yeah.
simple. You know, there is a template, and then maybe people are not comfortable with the template. That's why something else
Right.
has come up, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So alternate. So for example, you have mainstream medicine. So people are not comfortable with mainstream medicine. Why? Because it has side effects. They don't want to bombard their body with so many chemicals and so on and so forth. So you look out for an alternate which does the same job, maybe better, addresses the root, and there are no side effects. So you have alternate medicine. Similarly with education. So those who like to get out of this template or don't want to get themselves arrested in this kind of a template call it alternate education. There are nuances to it. So you have a mainstream alternate, and then we have our integral education. So there are differences that one must explore. One must clarify what this term carry in the import of their meaning. So this is mainstream for you. Highly templatized, governed, regulated, curriculum focused. That becomes the face of education, the engine, the driver of children's learning. That is your mainstream.
Perfect, perfect. And it is also mainstream because everybody knows only that.
Yeah.
When I talk to my friends and family, there is only one, which is either state CBSE, which is all bracketized into mainstream. That's the only thing that they know of and aware of. Now, if some people out there are curious, oh, there is an alternate, then what is that?
Right. So, as I mentioned, alternate would be to mainstream,
Yeah.
more or less the same kind of an education, but in a more flexible manner.
Let's explore a little bit more. So,
Sure.
when we say mainstream, we said CBSE, ICSE,
Yeah.
state. In alternate, we took the word or form of education, system of education, integral education. Are there multiple types of education like this?
Mainstream is one category, alternate education is another category, and as far as I'm concerned, integral education is yet another category.
Oh, okay, okay. So let's first look at alternate education and then come to integral.
Interesting thing would be integral education can have elements of mainstream, elements of alternate, but when we say integral, we mean in a particular and very specific way. We can come to it later.
Yes,
But you understood mainstream?
I am very clear. Let's move on to all.
That becomes popular, for example. So, by the way, there are product brands where there is no need for any advertisement. The product itself speaks for it. And then there are certain brands or products that need branding and selling. So that becomes very popular. So when a certain product becomes popular, you can fit into mainstream products or something like that.
Yeah, like Xerox. Just
correct.
Yeah.
So same here. Mainstream medicine we've talked about.
Yeah.
Same. Now, alternate would mean that you have flexibility for you, and it is supposed to be child centered. It will have less number of children in a classroom, and there will not be any rigid curriculum to sort of finish by the end of the academic year. However, there still would be a curriculum that an alternate system would follow. It would not have examination in the classical sense of the term, but there would be alternate ways to measure or assess how the child is progressing. And no uniforms, a school that looks like much better than what a corporate mainstream school would look like. So that is your alternate. Now there is one very important aspect of an alternate school, Some alternate schools would have a lot of education philosophies, learning paradigms mixed, and they can offer it in the school.
Hmm.
So a bit of this, a bit of that. I not necessarily
Hmm.
taking names, but a perfect mixture of.
Multiple
Would
things.
that or does that benefit? I am not too sure. Maybe some other day we can go into the details of these paradigms or philosophies that are there. But then there are schools that would follow one philosophy, one thinking, one school of thought,
Hmm.
and would just focus on that. Maybe go deep and as wide as they possibly can.
Hmm.
So that is to alternate education.
Hmm.
Interesting thing is,
Hmm.
mainstream schooling is for mainstream parenting.
Hmm.
Alternate education would be for those who want an alternate to mainstream life.
Hmm.
I'm sure tomorrow we'll have alternate careers. Not very sure, but yeah. So these are the categories that you have: mainstream and alternate. Then the third, which is integral education, is specific to Sri Aurobindo, Aurobindonian thought. Integral education comes from integral yoga. Uh, Ken Wilber has also used integral psychology. He has, in his own right, can use whatever terms he so wishes to.
Mhm.
But in our sense, I mean, in what we are doing here is integral education in purely Aurobindonian sense.
Hmm.
Um, so there can be elements of mainstream schooling in integral education. What does that mean? It means that we can still have rigor
Hmm.
of mainstream schooling.
Hmm.
We can still have fun with examinations,
Hmm.
but not make a big scene about it.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that is, these are the three categories. I'm just touching it, not going deep into it in
Perfect.
this conversation,
Perfect. Sounds good. Sounds good. Now, mainstream
because
alt.
the idea is to clarify the terms, right?
Yes,
Not
that's all.
necessarily go into.
That's all it is.
Sure,
And we will have multiple episodes later on where we go in depth.
sure, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, mainstream, alternate, integral. All the three has the common term education. At least in our discussion here. Yeah. Quickly, if we can also understand what education means.
So, what do you think is the widely perceived meaning of education? What do you
See,
think?
from a mainstream wide popular norm. Okay. Uh, I go and learn something to fetch a job or to make a living. Okay, that is what the popular norm or my understanding of populist understanding is.
Yeah, it has a lot of hangover of literacy, by the way.
Hmm.
So, literacy would mean would mean writing,
Hmm.
comprehension, communication, basic numerical skills, and all of that.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, that is what education has come to today.
Hmm.
The real meaning of education is much more than that. This
Hmm.
is only one small, tiny aspect of education.
Hmm.
Education essentially means to draw from within,
Hmm.
to draw all the knowledge that's there, all the wisdom that's there. So it's a process of drawing out. What do you see in schools? Just the reverse. The process of
Putting it in.
putting in, giving information, giving definitions, telling them theorems, without even, I mean, the child is not even given a chance to explore for himself or herself. But here is greater than thou book, a textbook that's there, and whole of life is concluded. So mainstream schooling is also has to do with a lot of text. It's a textual education, if I may call it.
Yeah.
So while we may say education, but it's not a process of drawing out.
Hmm.
It is not a process of um, questioning the answers that we already have, but it is the process of answering the questions that are there.
Hmm.
So, in truest sense, education essentially means growing out, and what happens is just the opposite.
And it's been happening for so long, and it's just accepted. As I said, many don't have the opportunity to sit back, think, and find out what really it means.
Yeah, because thinking is not promoted. So therefore, questioning is not promoted.
Hmm.
So when you take out thinking and questioning from this game of education, apologies, my apologies.
I went through the system where I was scared to ask questions.
So why would you ask? You would just follow. You would follow blindly. You would follow hopelessly. And I don't really blame children for it. My blame is squarely on parents who have brought this child on earth for a life that's supposed to be creative, fulfilling, exploratory. See, the world for a child is terra incognito, which means unexplored land. Let the child explore. But you are making sure that the element of exploration shouldn't be there because you have ready made answers and textbooks and all of that. So, that is not education for me. So, that's the term that we have explained.
That's it's just not education for you. Forget that. It's also not making sense. It's not for a rational mind and a logical mind also. Education is just simply not taking information.
Tell me one thing that makes sense in mainstream education today. One thing that makes sense to us.
A few years ago, I would have said maybe memory, but you have all the information.
Rote learning is not memory. Memory has got so much to do with the very faculty of the mind, memory. So much to do with it.
Having information. No, I can't think of much.
There is none. But let's get on with it. What's the next word from here?
Next word is which my friends and family commonly use is learning. Okay, I'm going out there to learn something.
Right.
Okay, I went to school. I'm going to school for learning something. Okay, but for me it is not connecting. What they are saying, this is the word, is not connecting. So can we make sense of that?
Okay, so learning is one word which can possibly have various meanings and under various context and situation. So, for example, we can say, I learned how to drive a car. Pretty much a physical skill. So, what was involved in learning? First was information about engine and everything, then an understanding of how the gear system work, and then the actual experience of this, and you have applied that experience in driving the car. So there are three processes involved. One is information, other is understanding, the third is an application of what you have understood. These three are necessary for a holistic learning, or forget holistic, for learning to be complete. If we take a generic meaning of the word learning, I would say that learning is that which changes your knowledge, your skills, your attitude, and your behavior. Completely changes it. So version 1 becomes version 2. When that happens, you can say learning has happened. I have learned. Just to know a thing does not necessarily translate into learning. There has to be an application of what you have understood. Then you can respond to life in creative ways. So learning, how do you see learning? When one is able to respond to life creatively, when one becomes innovative, when one begins to think deeply. Learning can also enable you to continue your thinking. Then comes your, again, qualifies lateral thinking, parallel thinking, what if situations. So there is so much to learn. So for our purposes, I would say learning is that which changes your skills, knowledge, attitudes, behavior for all. That is true.
Very well said. I want to go back and then just poke a little bit more on the learning. Okay. When we are working with children, when we take out for a nature walk, okay, they know everything. This is queen ant, this is this,
Yeah.
this is that.
We're seeing a lot these today.
Yeah, I know it. So when they already know it, there is no exploration happening, there is no experience happening, they're not able to enjoy the beauty of what is there in the, you know, when, why is this happening? No, so even at that young age, the knowledge or information is so full in them that they've lost the rest of the aspects of learning to get learning completed.
So glad you brought a very practical, relevant example to this conversation. And so this is not learning really. One condition for learning to happen is your mind is empty. It's absolutely empty. Only then would you explore. But if you already know, then where is the sense of exploration? And remember, you just know. There are still 2 stages to go. So what I'm seeing today is our children would know, as you mentioned, what kind of ants and what not. And then they stop because you have known, you have concluded about the insect or nature. So parents would say, yeah, oh, he knows, he remember all the names. See, he has learned so many names. There's no real learning is when you don't bring this vocabulary in the process of observation. You're just looking at that beautiful creature crawling. How does it crawl? At what pace does it crawl? Is it crawling just for the joy of it? Or does an insect has an agenda? You're just observing. Yeah, these are the questions that you have. And then you take it even further, no questions, just pure delight of observing the creature that you see. To me, that is learning. That is being profoundly engaged with the process of learning. Yes, my request to parents through this podcast is please do not stuff vocabulary in our children.
So I also come across people talking about activity based learning, hands on learning. you know eh, when you're already stuffed with vocabulary and information and knowledge, does these also help? Hands on learning, activity based learning, does it
Sometimes it
create
helps, yeah. Sometimes it helps explain complex terminologies in simple terms. But at the same time, and I know what you're hinting at, it also confuses because there's hardly any difference. Activity based learning would mean that you are engaged in an activity. So activity becomes important, not the learner. Hands on learning, again, terms that we use is you're using your hands and engaging your body to do something. Again, an element of the learner, because learner is not just the hand, right? Is more than that. The whole vital, the whole mental being is behind the hands only. So it essentially means, to simply put, to not just sit and understand through textbooks, but to actually experience it. If you are studying mountains, for example, rather than browsing the pages in a textbook and memorizing different kinds of mountains and plateaus or what have you, it's better you go out, collect some sand or mud, whatever, and create a mountain for yourself. That is all to hands-on activity based learning, much better than understanding through a textbook.
through a textbook. Yeah.
but it still misses the learner behind
let's
the learning,
let's talk
behind
about
the subject.
let's talk about learner then. Okay, the child, the learner, the being behind. You
Yeah.
know, who can you define this learner? Who's what are we talking about here?
So we okay. So essentially, see, strictly speaking, there is just learning that's happening.
Hmm.
So there is learner just becomes an instrument, becomes a nimit matra. It is knowing that's happening. It's, if you really look at it, and if you become a little quiet within your mind, you would see that all that is happening is just an interplay of the forces that we have, play of consciousness. A flower grows, a bud becomes a flower. Then there is a birth of an insect, or let's talk about human being. Some interaction that is happening. One does something. Now, only happening is happening as far as I'm concerned. Things are just really happening.
Okay.
There is not so much. I would not I would not give learners so much of an importance.
Hmm. Hmm.
Of course, it's happening
Hmm.
in the body mind life that we have. It's happening through the instrumentality of mind. The whole vital being is involved. For example, for children, learning is not only physical, it is also emotional. So for me, learner is, if I take this conversation beyond a human being, the consciousness that is having its play.
Hmm. Very good.
And the mind is there to imagine, again, an instrument of consciousness only,
Hmm.
via medium to make it simple, if not simplistic. So learner really is not that important. It's just there as a medium through which consciousness is getting expressed.
Excellent.
It's a very deep, very profound experiences, and I wish our children can come to that. Just being quiet, being one with the learner, the learning, and that what you learn. All three as one beautiful harmony. The experience, the experiencer, and that which you experience as one harmonious event in life.
Wonderful. Wonderful. You mentioned consciousness a few times, and this is also a word that's so
Oh
common,
yeah.
very freely used. Uh, can we? I know it's a deep word, but can we little bit delve?
Well, consciousness is such a term that cannot be understood. You'll have to experience it. We can try to maybe explain and see if we possibly can. So my whatever I have in terms of vocabulary only, thanks to my teacher, I will try to maybe explain it, and we will explore this together. As I said, can't be understood. So the word consciousness has, so in Sanskrit we call Chetana, and conscious is Chetan.
Hmm.
Don't we say be conscious? These days we are saying conscious parenting.
Hmm. Hmm.
Again, qualifier for you. They don't end, right?
Never.
Conscious capitalism, conscious farming, conscious education, so on and so forth. The word conscious comes from consciousness. So if you're saying conscious, you are essentially saying consciousness in play. So conscious parenting would mean consciousness through a parent, through a human being, expressing itself. But coming back to consciousness, consciousness would be a substratum of all that you are and the very essence of your being. A substratum of all that you are and the very essence of what you are. So what does the word here is substratum? Beautiful word. It then translates into Adhar Adhishtan. Now what does the word Adhar means? It means the foundational, the bedrock, and the primary thing, the starting point in the whole universe. The starting point. That is what Adhar Adhishtan means. Now let's explore this. The fundamental, the primary thing, what it is. So there is body, there is mind, and there are senses. Now the body, mind, senses are a self-representation in consciousness. How? Let's explore further. Right now, Prakash, are you aware of your body?
Yes.
Are you aware of you being your body?
Yeah. Yes, I am. Yeah.
Are you aware of your mind?
Yes.
Are you aware of the activities of your mind?
Sometimes here and there I miss it, but no. Yes.
You are aware of your
Yeah.
thoughts. You are aware that
yes,
you are talking.
Yes. I'm aware of my thoughts, and yes.
So you are aware of the entire spectrum of your mind right now. So you are aware of your body. You are aware of you being your body. And at the same time, you are aware of the mind and the activities in mind. So all these are a representation in consciousness. Because you cannot be, see, when you are observing something, you cannot be the observer, right? Also the observed. If you are observing this, then you cannot be this.
Correct.
Because this is a self-representation in the consciousness. Therefore, you are able to answer. Yeah. So consciousness is the starting point. It's the absolute that is there, the fundamental thing, and it cannot be intellectually understood, nor can it be cognitively grasped. Why? Ask why.
Why?
Because the intellect and cognition are themselves a derivative of this consciousness,
Substratum.
and the derivative cannot encapsulate the primary. Are you with me?
Yes.
If you concentrate a bit, you will get it. It's not that difficult. So if you were to draw a topography of being, one example that just comes to me is, let's say this is the hand, the consciousness, right? Now these knuckles becomes a self-representation of the hand, or a derivative of the hand.
Yeah.
The knuckle cannot understand the hand, but it is just there. Just drawing a sketch of a topography of being, if I may call it. So that is to consciousness, the fundamental primary thing. This conversation should also put a seed in your head. Then what are you? You told me you are aware of your body.
Yeah.
You being your body, you are aware of your mind. All that we are aware of, we cannot be that, right?
Yeah.
Simple logic.
Yeah.
Because so you are aware that you are aware, and you are aware that you are aware that you are aware, and so on ad infinitum.
Yes.
So you can break the whole Prakash facade in less than a second. My name is Prakash. Okay, you are aware that you are Prakash.
Then I'm not that.
But how can you be that? Oh no, what do you mean? I come from Tamil Nadu. I'm so much, my age is XYZ, etc. How do you know? Anyway, this was some other day. But so consciousness cannot be very easily explained or written about. It is a subject of experience. The whole Indian wisdom tradition is darshan shastra, which means it has to be experienced. Darshan means experienced. It cannot, no matter how much you want to bring it under the realm of a lexicon, cannot be done because it cannot be intellectually understood. To understand something intellectually, you need an intellect. But intellect itself is a derivative of consciousness. So how can a derivative encapsulate the fundamental, the primary? That is consciousness. Not easy, but if you really concentrate, I think you will get it.
I'm sure, all the sages, saints, and the beings who wanted to understand have understood. So it can be experienced, or and that is why we know that there is a consciousness, right? At least when I say no, from a knowledge perspective.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Now,
so another. So integral education can also be known as consciousness centered education. And that is when I said a conscious being, which means consciousness in play. So the learner really disappears then, just like it disappeared a few seconds ago. Yeah.
Wow. Now, okay. You put so much into me that I'm struggling now. Now, let me come down a little bit. There is also words used like awareness and mindfulness in education, in various at work and everywhere. Can we also talk a little bit about awareness? What is awareness? In simple terms.
Yeah. I'm aware that awareness has been used quite frequently, and you have mindfulness being talked about, etc. So right now, are you aware of you being seated?
Yes.
Are you aware of your surrounding?
Yes.
Are you aware of the sounds that you hear?
Yeah.
So the awareness is spread all out.
Correct.
In fact, you are also aware that you are sitting here, right? That's how the awareness is. So this is awareness. When you focus this on yourself, just on yourself, and forget the surroundings, it becomes self-awareness. There also awareness of the outer manifested self, my body, how you're feeling, etc. Then the awareness of what's happening inside. What am I thinking? So the awareness of the mind. How am I feeling? So the whole emotional vital being. And if you can be quiet for a couple of seconds, then the awareness itself. So this becomes your domain of self-awareness. From awareness, you prefix self. This qualifier we need.
Yes.
So self-awareness. Now, if you continue to be in this state, you can extend this awareness to other awareness. As we just experienced, all that I can hear, feel, see, you become aware of people around you. And if you extend it even further, not only can you become aware of people around you, you can catch what the other person is feeling, what the other person is thinking. These are real experiences, Prakash.
No AI can do this.
Well, they're saying artificial super consciousness or something.
Really?
Intelligence. ASI. We won't
come
go
back
into that, but this is very natural. So that is to awareness. Now, when you bring this and concentrate this to a particular activity, it becomes mindfulness. Which means I am picking up this piece of glasses, and my whole energy, my whole concentration, my whole awareness, like a laser, is concentrated on this. So I open this, then I use it, I am unfolding it, and I put it back. This act is being mindful, right? I enter a lift, I wait for the person to get out, and I get in. Is being mindful.
Mm.
I pour water into glass, and then I put the bottle aside. Not a single drop to be found anywhere, but just in the glass. Then I pick up the glass. When I eat, being mindful, and then I put the glass back without the glass breaking. I'm just giving practical.
Yeah.
That is being mindful. So awareness, mindful, concentrate.
Mm.
That is how I understand. I mean, there could be some other explanation to it, but my advisory here would be to not get caught up in vocabulary.
Mm.
But at the same time, since we use it in our conversations, in all my talks and workshops or whatever, I like to make it very clear that all of us are referring to the words that we all understand. So I tend to explain or define the vocabulary. Otherwise, you can have your own understanding based
Correct.
on what you know of the word.
Mm.
Coming back to awareness and mindfulness, this is to my understanding.
Perfect. Super. Just to close the conversation, I want to put one loaded word again, lot very commonly used,
Okay.
is spirituality.
Oh, yeah, of course. We'll try to
Yeah.
give a very short answer to it.
Yeah.
Now, this is again a Western, or I would say a European term before taking it Western, but now it hardly makes any difference. The whole world is
global.
one. So spirituality would come from spirit. So the moment you say spirit, you have all those like
Yeah.
ghostly and those kind of
Yes.
differences. That is why the Sanskrit language is so accurate, so clear in its expression. We call it adhyatma. So the word is adhyay of the Atman. Adhyay of the Atman, of the self, of what you essentially are. A pursuit towards truth, towards that which is real. That is all to spirituality. People say, oh, I'm very spiritual, I go to temple, I recite shlokas, I'm very spiritual. That is something which we have to be mindful about. That falls into the category of religion. And by the way, when you talk spirituality, you cannot not talk about religion.
Yeah, even if I say I'm going to temple and I'm reading shlokas, if that shloka and temple is the adhyatma of the self, or Atman, Adhyaya of the Atman, then it is spiritual. But without that, it is just a ritual.
Even religion, for example, comes from the word religare, which means to unite, to connect. To unite and connect to what? To your essential self. It depends how you want to use the word. Religion has been used extensively for divisive purposes, for the politics of it. And so even religion would have lot of small little, what do you call, branches, and rituals is a part of it. Shloka is a part of it, etc., whatever you do. So it depends how you want to use that particular word. So that is why it really becomes important to explain, clarify what meaning am I referring to when I'm having a conversation. When I want you to understand what I'm saying, uh, it is necessary that I must explain.
Correct.
This is what I'm referring to. It is incumbent upon the person to explain. Consciousness, okay, this is what I'm referring to. Religion, I'm talking about this. What I mean by spirituality is this. There is more to it. There's so much confusion out there. But I'm glad you asked these terms because you find these terms to be common.
Very
today.
commonly used, but are they using it in the right sense? Like you said, am I also understanding the same way you are understanding it? That makes huge difference, right? Otherwise, it's just a word without much meaning there.
We should be a deconstructionist of sort. I've read Derrida's deconstruction, where he says that we just live the word, not the real. When you begin to deconstruct the word, you know what it truly is.
And
So
then the
defined words are there. A lot of dictionary going around here and there. Even there, in dictionary also, you would see that there are layered meanings. It can be used in communication the way you want to. Most of the times, it's used to manipulate people. It's kind of a hypnosis sort of a thing. Education, experiential learning, what have you.
Excellent. Thank you, Lovelish. Had a great time knowing, understanding, and then clarifying some of the misnomers.
Sure. Let's build the vocabulary. And even for me, there's so much to catch with. Gen Z phrases. We were talking yesterday
yeah,
about
yeah. Let's take a
so
dip.
much. Yeah, so much. It impacts your thinking, and I would say it impacts your character. It impacts who you are. Language has that power.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care.